Hi, I'm Ravi here. In this session, we will check how to install Docker Community Edition on Ubuntu Linux OS. And for test machine, we would use AWS Cloud EC2 instance and install Docker Community Edition. So I have already logged into AWS Cloud to two regions, one region, Mumbai region, and second region on another tab, Hyderabad region, Asia Pac Hyderabad region. So we'll launch test EC2 instances on Mumbai region as well as Hyderabad region and install Docker Community Edition. So since I already have a subscription, already the connectivity is through secured keys. So let me launch an EC2 instance. So first, once you log in, it will take you to the console home, and either you go to recently visited services tabs or go to all services compute category and EC2 to launch our EC2 instance. And I'm using Asia Pac Mumbai region to launch an instance. Go to launch instance. I'll just say EC2 test one Mumbai region. And I will use Ubuntu, select Ubuntu, and I will use the latest version available on AWS Cloud Mumbai region, which is 24.04 version. And instance type, let me try to go to t2.micro, which has one virtual CPU and 1 GB memory. And key pair, I already have an existing key pair. So I'll take the existing key pair. And network, I'll use default network provided by AWS, but I have my own security group, which is security group, which is virtual firewall. I have a group for cloud admin. So I'll use a cloud admin group which has SSH already enabled, because for Ubuntu Linux for connectivity from my local machine, I would need SSH to be enabled. Storage, I'll take default storage and launch. Similarly, I will go to another tab, connect to Hyderabad region in EC2, launch an EC2 instance here. Here, t2.micro, I think isn't available. Let me see what is the closest match. Select Ubuntu 24.04, and let's see T2 version is not available, so I'll take T3 instance, which is basic one. T3 micro, which is two virtual CPUs and 1 GB memory. I can take T3 nano also, but memory would be little less, so I don't want machine to go slow even if it is community edition for test purpose. So let me take T3.micro, which has two virtual CPUs and 1 GB memory. Key pair, I will use the same existing key pair which I generally use. Default network, here also I'll use the default network, and security group, I will have a group for cloud admin where SSH is enabled. So I'll take SSH from existing group, and storage I'll take default 8 GB and launch. Rest of the settings I'll keep it as default. Okay, now if you want to see the instances, go to scroll down, view all instances. You will see one machine is in running state. Okay, and for Mumbai region as well. Yeah, so that's in running state. So meanwhile, let me just list out a few steps, and we'll take it from there. So first we'll connect to AWS Cloud, launch instance, launch Elastic Cloud Compute instance, one in Mumbai region, T2.micro, and one in Hyderabad region, which is T3.micro. So we've seen the difference. What T2.micro is one vCPU and 1 GB memory, whereas T3.micro is two vCPUs and 2 GB. So 1 GB memory. So on Hyderabad region, T2.micro isn't available. So that's the reason I have to pick T3.micro. Next, once the launch is done, using existing key pair, default AWS network, and custom security group with SSH enabled. Okay, so that's basics requirements. Now, once connectivity is done, we'll try to connect this EC2 key pair. Is already have a copy of a key pair on my local machine, so it's there here on my desktop under AWS Cloud Key folder. So I'm going to use, because I need to connect to AWS instance from my local machine. So what I'll do, I'll use Git Bash emulation software and launch client connection from there. Okay, so I will launch Git Bash session. So local system connectivity from local machine, copy of, go to folder where cloud key is stored using Git Bash, launch Git Bash session each per to connect instances at Mumbai region and Hyderabad region. Okay, so let me just connect first. Minimize. So what do I do? So go to the folder where cloud key is stored, right click, and you can see more options, and there's an option here, open Git Bash here. So first session, left hand session, I will use it for to connect to Mumbai region, and right hand session window, I'll use it to connect to Hyderabad region. Let me minimize key folder. So right side is for Hyderabad location, and left side is for Mumbai location connectivity. Okay, now how do I connect? In AWS Cloud, select instance. You can see here, select instance. So let me go to select instance, go to instance state. Besides that, there's a connect button. Okay, there's a connect button, go to connect. And still the connectivity is using through SSH client. There's an example string, select that example string, go to the tab, right click, paste. Okay, so that's my connectivity to EC2 instance in Mumbai region. So immediately let me go to for Hyderabad instance as well. Select instance, go to connect button. My connectivity again here also through SS, because for Linux connectivity it is based on SSH secure shell. Copy, I click and paste on second window as well. Just to confirm. Now I just want to check. Select instance, connect, copy example string, example SSH string. Okay, and using string connected to EC2 instances from Git Bash terminals. Once system is connected, once we are into the machine, list check OS versions using command cat etc OS release on both machines. Okay, cat etc OS release, just to make sure we are on the same version which was selected. Okay, so here also cat etc OS release. Now we have not created any user, but the user user is AWS. Whenever we launch an EC2 instance for Ubuntu Linux, default user with admin privileges created by or made available by AWS for Ubuntu Linux. Username is Ubuntu. So that's the user we're going to use for connectivity, and the password, instead of password, using SSH keys. Okay. So username is Ubuntu and keys we have downloaded a copy, and I'm using those keys for connectivity purpose. So once we know the version available, next is install OS updates. Updates Linux, Ubuntu Linux OS. So here package management utility is I'm using apt. My command would be now, because my username is Ubuntu, it is having sudo admin equivalent. So what I'm going to use, I'll use sudo. Sudo is nothing but install or execute action as an admin equivalent. Sudo, what is the package management utility? apt. What is the action we are trying to perform? Update. Sudo apt update. So it will connect to the default repository of Ubuntu and download OS patches. Similarly, on second machine, sudo apt update. It will connect if the network connections are proper and it is able to connect to repository. It will download updates from repository, default Ubuntu repository, and install updates. Once updates are done, next step is to install Docker Community Edition. There are multiple versions of Docker available. So the details are available on this portal. Okay. Docker Community Edition. Now details are available on hub.docker.com. If you want to use or check the additional features or more features about Docker, what you have to do, create free tier subscription with valid email details. Okay. Now when you log into Docker with your subscribed ID, so this is how it looks like. Now our requirement is to understand what are the steps involved in installing Docker Community Edition, which is considered as a free tier, okay, or an open source. Now on your console page, you will see a lot of images available, but our requirement is installation. So there's a help button here, go to help and visit documentation portal. Here you can search for Docker installation. So Docker installation is available for different operating systems. Our requirement is on Ubuntu. So we are trying to install Docker engine on Ubuntu. So you can see here, Docker Hub, install. And where are we trying to install? We are trying to install on Ubuntu. Okay. Now it is available for different operating systems. So our requirement is version 24.04. Now, if you scroll down the documentation page, you will see different steps available to install Docker. So instead of going through all these steps, there are simpler methods to install Docker. So let me write those steps here. So we are installing Community Edition, which is open source. Okay, so perform OS updates, and now our first requirement is to download the software. So I'm going to use curl utility to download software. From where? From this portal, get.docker.com. Now I'm going to join two commands in a single line. What are we going to do? Using pipeline utility. Okay, I'm sending output of left-hand side command to right-hand side, which is a shell. So left-hand side, I'm trying to download a Docker Community Edition version, and the output of left-hand side command will be sent to right-hand side shell. Once the executable or the software is sent to a shell, automatically it will start installation. So this is a simpler step. So pipeline will use to send output from left-hand side to right-hand side. So let me use this command first. And as you can see, we don't have to connect or go through all the steps. We just need to do the simpler version. So first I am doing on left-hand side terminal. You can see it will download and perform all those steps. Whatever steps are, most of the steps which are listed here, all those steps will be part of the single command. Now on the right side as well, Once installation is done, we want to check what is the version available or what is the community edition version available. So let's do that once the installation is completed. Now you can see as this version is installed. Docker server is on server. Docker Engine Community Edition version 29.13 version is installed. Same on another machine as well, which is installed on both machine. Now, if I want to list same version, if I want to list it once again, so let me type a command called docker info. We can see little information is printed, but it is also showing a permission denied comment. So reason is this user does not have sufficient privileges to extract and print the full Docker details. Okay, so what do we do? Now, what user does not have permission? Ubuntu. So let me add, okay, add Docker print Docker engine details using command docker info. Now add Ubuntu user. Today it is Ubuntu. Tomorrow, if you are using a different user for on your test environment or in any other environment, you can select the respective users. Add Ubuntu to. Now, in what situations a user will gain privileges? Either it has to be an admin, direct admin, or it has to be part of that group. Okay. Add to Docker group. Add Ubuntu user to Docker group so that whatever group privileges are there, Ubuntu user will inherit that. And how do we do that? Using user mod command. So I need a sudo privilege user mod hyphen add group Docker and username. Whatever user you are trying to use. User mod hyphen a add group Docker to which user? Ubuntu user. So before I do that, let me check if Docker is already part of id minus a will print details and group details for which user? Ubuntu user. Here also Docker info will give permission comment. So check id minus a, it will print group details, user and group details. Now our requirement is to add Ubuntu to Docker group so that group privileges will be inherited by Docker. id minus a. So immediately it may not show. Advisable is to log out and re-log in. Okay, so let me type exit command and use upper arrow key to reconnect once again to the same machine using same credentials, same keys. Exit, reconnect once again. Now you can here you see id minus a, you can see Docker here. Previously, it wasn't working. Why? You have to, one of the recommendation is to log off and log in so that settings or commands or instructions, latest commands or updates will be applied automatically once you re-log in. Here also, Docker is available. Now, if you type Docker info, it will not throw any permission issues. It will not have any why? Ubuntu user is part of Docker group and it will inherit all group level privileges. Okay, so we have installed community edition of Docker Engine on two instances. One instance I've launched in Mumbai region of AWS Cloud, and another instance, EC2 instance, I've launched in Hyderabad region of AWS Cloud. So let me type an exit, close these terminals. And so once my work is completed, if I am not using these two machines, one of the best practice is to terminate. Select this instance, go to action, go to instance state, terminate. So that billing will stop there for these actions. Select instance state, terminate. Refresh, you can see Shutting down option here and here also. Okay. Thank you.